Salvete discipuli. Welcome to Chapter 5, Caput Quinque, the last chapter for Unit 1 of Latin Alive Book 2. We start with the motto for the British Windward Islands, E Pede Fausto. I love this motto as it comes from a famous poem by the poet Horace, a poem which is featured in the chapter reading for this book, for this chapter. And so when you see that chapter reading, I want you to think and look for this phrase. And this phrase is adapted from that poem, but still, I want you to look for this phrase and how that pertains to the poem at hand. For now, let's look at the seal for the British Windward Islands and play Quid in pictura videis? What do you see in the picture? All right, so our picture should be up before us. And there aren't too many images in here, but there are enough for us to talk about. Quid in pictura videis? So now we're looking at the picture in front of us. Not too many items, but there are enough for us to talk about. Magnam coronam video. Corona, the crown. Crucem, a cross, habet. Corona crucem habet. Video scutum, I see a shield. Video scutum cum quator coloribus. Ruber, red. Viridis, green. Flavus, yellow. Et grisus, gray. We'll talk about Latin colors in a later chapter of this textbook. For now, again, ruber, red, viridis, green, flavus, yellow, et grisus, gray. That phrase, scutum cum quator coloribus, a shield with 4 colors, that sounds a lot like an ablative of manner, maybe describing this shield. We're going to talk more about ablative of manner with the preposition cum in this chapter. Now let's take a look at our vocabulary. Avis, avis, feminine bird. We saw an avis in one of our illustrations in chapter 4. Hasta, hastai, feminine spear. Laetitia, laetitii, feminine, gladness, joyfulness. This is a lot like the adjective laetus, laeta, laetum that means happy. Ordo, ordinus, masculine, order, series. Think about the word inordinate, which means not in order. Pes, pedis, masculine, foot, another body part word. Pedestrian, when you are a pedestrian, you walk on foot. Species, speciei, feminine, aspect, appearance. The word species comes from this word. In fact, they're spelled identically. So be careful not to let your English pronunciation of this scientific word species corrupt your Latin pronunciation of species. Remember, the C is always hard like a K. All right, let's look at the next word. Vinum, vini, neuter, wine. We get the word vineyard from this. You might recall that in Latin Alive Book 1, we learned the word vinea, which meant a vineyard or a vine. Bibbo, bibere, bibby, to drink. Think about a bib that you put on a baby or a small child so that their drink doesn't dribble down onto their clothing. Cremo, cremare, cremavi. Crematum means to burn. We have the word cremate from this. Muto, mutare, mutavi, mutatum, to change or to alter. Mutate and mutant are fun derivatives for this word. Pulso, pulsare, pulsavi, pulsatum, to strike or beat. When you take your pulse, you're trying to feel for the effects of your heart pumping the blood, it pulsating through your veins. Wasto, wastare, wastawi, wastatum, to lay waste or to destroy. Think about the word devastate. When something is devastated, it is destroyed. Now let's look at some adjectives, and there are some pronouns in this one as well, and adverbs as well too. Acutus, acuta, acutum is an adjective that means sharp. Think about an acute angle. Ipse, ipsa, ipsum is an intensive pronoun that we will learn in this chapter. It can also function as an adjective. It means himself, herself, itself. Note how each one of these has the suffix self on it to create some intensity. Mollus, molle, adjective, soft, tender, supple. Mollify is a derivative. Nutere, nutra, nutrum. Notice that EU is a diphthong, so I pronounce it again. Nutere, nutra, nutrum means neither. And we have neutral as a derivative. Now, nutere, as well as two other words in this vocabulary list, are also going to be featured in a review of EOS adjectives, so mark that one. Niveus, nivea. Niveum is an adjective that means of the snow or snowy. That'll be a fun thing to talk about in our chapter. Niveus is a good English derivative for that. Try using that in your wintry language this year.